Alright, what's good, y'all? Welcome back to another video. I apologize in advance if I sound a little bit congested. I've been sick for like the past week, hence the late start on the morning. It's 11 o'clock right now, having my first meal of the day, which is going to be just the standard 300 grams of egg whites, and then I'm also going to pair that with a little bit of grape tomatoes and then 6 ounces of coconut water. So typically in the morning, especially as of recently, I haven't really had a big appetite in the morning. The first course of action, first priority for me is just to get protein in post fasted cardio. So take all my morning supplementation, 40 minutes of fasted cardio, and the first thing I'm concerned with is obviously getting some type of macronutrient in. Obviously protein being the most, I guess, prioritized, just to kind of help bring my body into more of an anabolic state. And then also I do 6 ounces of coconut water, and that's just gonna help with obviously electrolyte and hydration. And then also there is a little bit of carb content in this. So 6 ounces of that. Just some grape tomatoes, you're gonna get a little bit of carb content from this as well. But mainly just micronutrient and a little bit of flavor. These egg whites, man, I've been eating egg whites honestly for like I think I'm like on week 36 since I started working with Joe, and egg whites have not left my diet. So I'm like just trying to find ways to spice them up and still enjoy the meals I'm eating. Obviously, you're kind of stepping into the scene of competitive bodybuilding. There's a lot of things that you're just gonna have to do as an athlete. And one of the main things is keeping nutrition as bland and as simple as possible. So, I mean, that's essentially just meal one. It's nothing special. It's a very low calorie meal. I am still in a fat loss phase, so calories are not gonna be very high today. Today is a training day, heavy upper body session. So calories are a bit higher, 2,072, I believe, which honestly is not that high at all. I mean, in maintenance, I'm eating anywhere from 3,800 to about 4,200. In maintenance bulk phases, I get upwards of like 5,000 calories. So the fact that I'm kind of just cruising at 2,072 calories on training days, by the end of the day, I'm drained. So I typically try to get my training in a little more earlier. But I mean, yeah, essentially this is just gonna be meal one. Super simple, super basic, nothing like crazy, nothing special here. Just get your protein source in. Get mine from egg whites, because I am on a low fat diet. I think my intake's like 30 grams a day, some type of micronutrient, and then obviously hydrate. I do drink about 32 ounces of water along with my black coffee in the morning before any type of fasting. This is just gonna help restabilize those electrolytes, especially the amount of sweat that I excrete during my morning fasted cardio, especially with like the whole fat loss supplementation that I'm on. So just trying to get that in there, get the body replenished and get it ready for the PM training session. But yeah, it's gonna be meal one. I'm gonna get it cooked up. I'll see you guys at the next one. Also, another thing that I add in here, I forgot to grab it actually, is garlic. I try to get fresh garlic in with my meals at least 2 to 3 times throughout the day. For those of you who've been tuning into the channel, I have been battling with my lipids, and garlic is just one of those things to kind of help stabilize those and bring them back into the proper ranges. They are improving, they are still a bit elevated unfortunately. So in terms of competition, I don't know when that's going to happen. Ideally I would like it to happen sometime in Q1 of next year. I mean, that's the plan right now. It's just finishing out this health phase and recomp phase and just keeping everything kind of intact as we finish it out. I think as of now, the goal is to finish July out with this health and recomp, and depending on where bloods are, depending on where the composition is, we'll move into an improvement phase. I'm not too sure what that's gonna look like entirely, but I have a very good coach behind me. He knows his shit, so I know he's gonna get me to where I wanna be, and I know he's not gonna put me on stage unless he's comfortable with physique packages looking. So in the meantime, just doing everything that I can, staying as consistent as possible. We've had some little hiccups here and there in terms of consistency, just overwhelming things going on in life. And, you know, sometimes you just need a mental break. And obviously being sick the past week really screwed me too. I mean, I haven't trained since, I trained on Monday last week, and then I didn't train until Thursday. Thursday was like a decent session. I just did like a full upper body. But in terms of like sticking to the plan to the T, that didn't happen. Damn, got garlic popping on me and shit, bro. But, I mean, yeah. So hopefully this week, I start to feel a little better. I mean, I feel about 90, 95% today. So I'm gonna go in there, obviously ease back into it, but if I have the energy levels to do so, I'm gonna obviously capitalize on the workout as much as possible and just get back into the swing of things. I really wanna finish this month out strong in terms of diet adherence and training plan adherence, and just really seeing where I can kind of put myself at the end of this month before we enter this improvement phase. Because obviously I want to like start getting shit going. I mean, I feel like I've been on this road to prep, and then prep not happening, and then kind of getting put on the back burner to prioritize health. It's just been very frustrating because the content that I wanted to deliver to you guys was obviously to be, you know, to bring you guys through this whole prep process. But at the end of the day, this is part of the process, and I feel like this is more of a genuine insight to what this lifestyle is actually like. And when you're devoting yourself to be a committed athlete to the sport, there's a lot of things you have to consider. It's not just dry and cut as a lot of people make it seem on social media. There's a lot of factors that go into it. There's a lot more internal, I guess, fruition and affirmations that have to come from the person that's kind of competing in this lifestyle. And yeah, I mean, it's just part of the journey, and I'm happy to show it with you guys. And hopefully the end of this year is a very productive year in terms of growth, physique improvement, and I can just start diversifying content for you guys. I know right now it's a bit cut and dry, it's a little boring, it's a lot of the same repetitive things, but I mean, that's kind of just what this lifestyle is. There's nothing really too special about it. It's about clocking in every day, doing the same shit, staying consistent, and staying true to yourself and what your goals and plans are. And if at any point in time my plans and my goals change, I'll share that with you guys. But as of right now, I'm still on this path of competing. I still want to step on stage. I still have goals and hopes of achieving my pro card sometime in the future, whenever that time is permitted. So I got to do everything possible and everything that I can control, I need to control, to get to these points. And I'm just happy to kind of just share this journey with you guys. But yeah, this is my little rant for the video. I know you guys don't get that much often. I know it's very kind of cut and dry, very minimal talking, just straight to it. And that's something I do want to change. I want to give you guys more insight to kind of who I am as a person and the things that I do outside of bodybuilding. But the truth is, a big part of my life right now is bodybuilding. So that's what you guys are gonna get. And hopefully I can give you guys some gems of knowledge here and there. I mean, I've been kind of an athlete my entire life. I grew up playing sports. I've always been obsessed with improving, you know, sports performance in competition. I acquired a lot of knowledge, studied biomechanics, kinesiology at university when I was there. Dropped out, if you guys didn't know. Now I do design work, so kind of a little 360 turn. But there was a big point in my life where sports performance, human performance, optimization was just a huge part of what I consumed my life to be. So I acquired a lot of knowledge, participated in a lot of research studies during my time at university. So I have a lot of things that I do want to share with you guys, and I always stay up to date on current literature. I mean, as I mentioned, this is my life, this is what I do. It's a facet of my life that I enjoy doing, so I'm always gonna try to optimize it and just kind of consume it to my full ability. I'm taking you guys into the pill cabinet. Pretty extensive, yes, I know. But it's what you gotta do to stay healthy in this life. So first things first, always take this fasted. Lipid support to obviously help with my lipid levels. It's 7, and a lot of these quantities are pretty crazy. I think this one's like 7 pills, so that's 7 of those. Blood pressure, just to make sure everything's optimized and working in that area. You don't want your blood pressure skyrocketing through the roof and not monitoring that. So I always take my blood pressure first thing in the morning, fasted, along with my fasted glucose levels. So blood pressure just to help keep everything stabilizing where it needs to be. And then we have a thyroid support, liver support to help keep the liver optimized and healthy. And that's pretty much going to be like the internal organ stack. And then everything else is kind of just essential. These things not really necessary to the average person. Could be necessary if you are, you have issues in any of those areas. So if your blood pressure is high, lipid levels are high. Thyroid support, I would say you could take it just to optimize your thyroid. Always want that operating efficiently. But everything else, like a vitamin D, I would highly recommend a biotin just to help with hair, skin, and nails. Omegas, I get mine from krill oil. And then just your standard multivitamin. So pretty much everything here I'll take before I eat. Specifically the lipid, that's kind of the most essential one. You'll always want to take this one fasted as recommended by Revive. And everything else doesn't really matter. You can take it after you eat, before you eat. Just since I'm already in the process of popping pills, I just take everything right now. 300 grams of egg whites, about 100 grams of grape tomatoes, a little bit of pink Himalayan sea salt, 6 ounces of coconut water for hydration and electrolytes, a little bit of garlic to help with lipids. Also, it's a good antioxidant. And then 10 grams of dark chocolate. I am supposed to have cream of rice with this meal, but since my carbs are so low throughout the day, I typically just backload my carbs. Backloading meaning I'll put a majority of my carbs near my workout window. So I'm probably not gonna work out until like 3 o'clock today. So I'll start consuming more of my carbohydrate intake closer to that time period, just so I have the fuel and energy necessary to kind of get me through that workout instead of just consuming all of it now. So typically no carbs for meal 1, meal 2 and 3, meal 3 being my pre-workout meal, we'll have carbohydrates. Yeah, I'm gonna get this in. I'll see y'all at meal 2. We're gonna do 70 grams of cream of rice today. Hopefully I have enough. This is my last box of cream of rice, I just realized that. And we are not gonna have enough, so 50 grams of this, typically do 70. I'm gonna throw some honey in there just for added carbohydrates, just to make sure I'm getting the total carb content that's kind of planned in my pre-workout meal. And again, since day 1, you guys are probably a little tired of seeing this, but cream of rice, blueberries, dark chocolate. Gonna do 50 grams of this, 10 grams of this, and then also we have a fat source. Gonna do 20 grams of almond butter. Trick with cream of rice, I don't know if like people just aren't really considering this, but typically when people make cream of rice, oatmeal, whatever, they always just throw it in the microwave. I mean, it's the most convenient, the most accessible, but I would highly suggest investing in some type of kettle. The hot water from the kettle just allows for more control and just better consistency. And for those of you who eat oatmeal and cream of rice, you guys know if consistency isn't there, at least for me personally, if consistency isn't there, I just ain't rocking with it. So it's already a pretty bland ass meal. I want it to be the way I want it to be when I'm eating it, because if not, I'm just gonna not enjoy it and it's gonna throw my mood off. And I'm not trying to have my mood thrown off pre-training session. I'm trying to have every variable the way I want it to be going into that session. And even if it's a minute thing like consistency, man, it's just one of those things that I'm nitpicky about. I don't like having any type of like digestion bloat or any type of issue concerning digestion pre-training. It just makes the training session uncomfortable. And obviously when your body's kind of going through a process or phase like that, it's taking some energy to kind of help ease that inflammation. So you're not really optimizing all your energy output into the workout, because your body's utilizing it to kind of address another concern. When it comes to pre-workout nutrition, I always suggest that you guys just stick with foods that you guys know work, easy on the stomach, and somewhat palatable. I mean, obviously, if you're like in a dieting phase, you're just gonna have to do what you have to do. You're not in any type of caloric restriction. I mean, free range. You guys can do bagels, peanut butter, cereal. Cereal's a really good option. I mean, in my bulk, I will tear up a massive bowl of cream of rice. Not a bowl of cream of rice. I will tear up a massive bowl of Cinnamon Toast Crunch or Rice Krispie cereal, just because it's a lot more palatable. I enjoy it a lot more, but obviously, like, sometimes those things have to be cut out in a dieting phase just due to calorie restriction, things like that. When it comes to meal timing, typically I try to get this about 30 to 40 minutes out for my workout, just to make sure everything is basically being metabolized and kind of stabilized in my body. That way I'm not going into the training session again with any type of digestive issues. I mean, when it comes to nutrition and this whole bodybuilding shit, a lot of people try to make it a lot more complicated than what it is. And I've been victim of that. I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, I've always been kind of consumed by the most current research, the most current trends. So I have become victim to some of those literature effects. But honestly, as I go through this process and I kind of just look back at everything that has worked for me, it's just basically what I just said. Like, find what works for you. Find what works best for you. Find what is gonna help optimize your goals most, is gonna get you to your goals the quickest, and gonna have you adhering to an actual plan. I mean, a plan doesn't work if you can't stick to it long-term. Anything that's not feasible long-term is pretty much pointless. So find something that's gonna work for you long-term, whether that's a training plan, nutrition plan, food selection, food choice. Make sure everything is tailored to you. Don't listen to what everybody else is doing out on social media or what you see on social media. A lot of that is just, you know, a lot of it is to kind of cater towards the algorithm, whatever. But there is truth and merit to some of it, but also you have to take into consideration these people are built completely different from you. They have a different genetic pool, they have a different environment, they have a lot of different surrounding factors that affect them that may not affect you the way that it affects them. So long story short, pick what works best for you, optimize your goals, and find something that's going to be long-term for you and your goals and what you have planned for yourself. So another alternative basically to a sweetener, little quick subject. A good way to get carbs in are basically sweeteners like honey or agave. Traditionally, I would go with honey. I don't have any groceries right now for whatever reason. Like, I'm out of cream of rice, pretty much out of blueberries, almond butter, dark chocolate. I think it's because I was sick last week and I just like wasn't on routine. So everything that I usually pick up like in a normal grocery haul, I just didn't do. So yeah, I'm pretty much out of everything that I need. But basically, to get my carb content in, I'm gonna go ahead and use about 20 grams. Actually, I need about 30 grams. 30 grams of agave. This is just gonna basically be like another simple carbohydrate, help get the carbohydrate intake in, spike those glucose levels, get me primed for the workout. But I mean, that's pretty much meal two. So 50 grams of cream of rice, 15 grams of dark chocolate, 50 grams of blueberries, and then 30 grams of raw agave. And then I'll do 2 scoops of a whey protein. Honestly, I've just been using this whey protein from Jack Factory. I've been using Jack Factory for a while. I mean, nothing crazy about their products, nothing special. The protein's pretty solid. It's really the only product that I use from them. One, because it's pretty affordable and it tastes pretty good. Ingredient profile and source of the whey is pretty good as well. But honestly, just use whatever whey protein you guys have access to, whatever whey protein kind of suits with you well. That's one thing you have to take into consideration when selecting a whey protein, is just make sure you pick one that's good quality and one that is sourced from a high quality source and doesn't cause any type of digestive issues. So 2 scoops of whey, which is about 50 grams of protein. But yeah, that's pretty much meal 2. So quick recap, 50 grams of protein from whey, 50 grams of cream of rice, 30 grams of agave, 50 grams of blueberries, 15 grams of dark chocolate. Carbohydrate intake for this meal is 75 grams, and then obviously 50 grams of protein, and then 20 grams, roughly about 20 grams of fat. So meal 2, gonna get this in, head to Alpha Land, get a body session in. I'll catch up with y'all at meal number 3. right, y'all, we just got back from the workout. I'm about to get my post-workout meal in, which is meal number 3. 60 grams of whey protein. I typically just pick up some type of ready-to-drink protein from Alpha Land. And then we have 3 Rice Krispie treats. I have the option of either doing 3 Rice Krispie treats or a bowl of Rice Krispie cereal. Kind of just depends on the mood. If I have like a really sweet tooth, which today I do, I'll go for the Rice Krispie treats. They are a little higher in fat, so I'll just take away some fats from my preceding meals later in the day to just make sure I'm hitting all macro targets and not going over. But yeah, pretty simple. That's meal number 3, post-workout meal. We have our carb source and then our fast digesting protein source. So yeah, I'm gonna get this down and catch up with y'all for meal number 4. All right, y'all, getting my 4th meal in. So this is gonna be my last meal with carbohydrates. Again, carbohydrate consumption on this meal is pretty low. It's about 142 grams, which is about a cup of cooked rice. And now what I've been doing recently is just buying frozen rice, just because when I cook a pot of rice, it doesn't really last me that long. And you guys can read a little bit of literature on it. When you actually refrigerate and reheat rice, its contents actually change a little bit in terms of weight and nutrient. So I just prefer to get frozen. It's more convenient for me, and I can just store it and then go through it as needed. So we have 142 grams of jasmine white rice here. Just pop that in the microwave. And then for protein, I'm gonna be doing 130 grams of cooked chicken breast, 150 raw, 130 cooked. Typically, I just cook a lot of my proteins in bulk either the day before. It's just a lot more convenient for me and saves me a lot of time in terms of time spent cooking. I usually have pretty busy days, so the last thing I want to do is worrying about cooking a meal. I'd rather just have everything ready to go, build my meals out, throw it in the microwave, and have it ready. But I mean, pretty basic meal, honestly, nothing special. It's kind of the theme of this video, just very basic, essential meals that are just essential for helping me achieve and reach my goals. But that's pretty much gonna be it. Gonna go ahead and let this rice finish up. That's gonna be meal 4. I'm gonna go ahead and get this down, and then I'll catch up with you guys for the 5th and final meal. Getting the last meal in of the day, meal number 5. Typically, this meal contains no carbohydrates, just because it is towards the end of the night. Very minimal activity happening from here. I honestly don't like to consume a lot of carbohydrates before bed. It affects sleep very slightly, just in body breaking down energy for carbohydrate metabolization and all that stuff. So in here we have about a serving of broccoli. I typically don't weigh out my vegetables. It's usually around 100 to 150 grams every time I weigh it out. So I've been doing it for a while. I kind of just eyeball it at this point. So we'll just call it there for tonight. And then in this bowl we have 130 grams of cooked chicken breasts, similar to the last meal. This is gonna be meal number 5, and this is gonna be the final meal of the day. Pretty basic, full day of eating. I mean, nothing special. It's honestly pretty in tune with what the last full day of eating looked like. Nothing's really changed. I think calories are a little lower. Carbohydrate intake in terms of daily consumption is a little lower. Fat is very low. I'll go ahead and put all the final macronutrients and caloric intake on the screen, just so you guys have an idea of what I'm consuming on a training day. Now, on a non-training day, calories will be slightly lower. They're about at 1827. And then obviously carbohydrate intake is a little lower, fats will be a little higher naturally, and then protein intake will be a little higher as well. But yeah, that's meal number 5, and that's gonna be the end of the video. I hope you guys gained some insight, some type of knowledge, or just an overview of how you can kind of structure a diet, and then also just taking into considerations things that I mentioned, like finding a plan that you can adhere to and commit to long term, then finding foods that work best with you. That's what's gonna help you optimize your goals and just, be the most consistent in achieving those goals. As always, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you for supporting. I'll catch you guys in the next one. I'm out.